And turning now to another major story here in Washington. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles is pushing back, calling a wide-ranging two-part profile of her published today in Vanity Fair a, quote, disingenuously framed hit piece. Wiles is saying that the article, in which she speaks candidly about the president and top members of his cabinet, lacks context. NBC's White House correspondent Monica Alba has more.
So, Susie Trump, do you know Susie Trump? Sometimes referred to as Susie Wiles, Susie Trump. She's the great chief of staff.
The most powerful woman in the West Wing, making waves with incredibly revealing new comments published in Vanity Fair today. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles weighing in on everything from the president's behavior to top cabinet secretary's job performance to major decisions she says she disagreed with. While talking about her alcoholic father and acknowledging her view would be clinically controversial, while saying the president, quote, has an alcoholic's personality and operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. Nothing, zero, nothing. Wiles disclosing she had a, quote, loose agreement with the president that the score settling for his political opponents would end before the first 90 days are over, while acknowledging the president will, quote, go for an opportunity for retribution if he sees one. Also sharing that she had early reservations about pardoning the January 6 rioters, and that she wished the president had handled his major tariffs policy differently, saying, quote, there have been a couple of times where I've been outvoted, and if there's a tie, he wins.
The ice baby, we call her the ice baby.
Wiles is quoted as saying Attorney General Pam Bondi completely whiffed the initial rollout of the Jeffrey Epstein files, and she disputes President Trump's claim that former President Bill Clinton visited Epstein's island 28 times, saying, quote, there is no evidence of that, and that her boss was wrong about there being anything incriminating about Clinton in the files. She calls J.D. Vance's evolution from a Trump critic to vice president as, quote, sort of political, and argues he's been a conspiracy theorist for a decade, while backing him as the 2028 nominee. Vance responding today in Pennsylvania.
Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true. And by the way, Susie and I have joked in private and in public about that for a long time.
Wiles spoke to author Chris Whipple about a dozen times this year for the Vanity Fair spread, which also features VP Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, and Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. But today, the Chief of Staff taking issue with what she called the disingenuously framed hit piece, saying significant context was disregarded from her on-the-record statements and that much of what she had to say about the president was left out of the story.
I've never seen her be disloyal to the President of the United States, and that makes her the best White House Chief of Staff that I think the president could ask for.
And our thanks to Monica Alba for that reporting. And we should note that President Trump is standing by his chief of staff, telling the New York Post today that he has not read the article and that, quote, she's done a fantastic job.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.